That on Jesus' name, on Christ the solid rock I stand, all other green sand, all other ground is sinking sand. When darkness seems to hide his face, I rest on his unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. When he shall come with trumpet sound, oh, may I then in him be found, dressed in his righteousness alone, thoughtless to stand before the throne. On John Christ, the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. On Christ, the rock I stand.
How fitting of a song for our text this morning. Matthew's Gospel, the 16th chapter, the 13th through the 16th numbers of verse. We are focusing on verse number 15, but we will read for the sake of context and clarity verses 13 through 16. When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" "Well," they replied, "some say John the Baptist, some say Elijah, and others say Jeremiah or one of the other prophets." Then he asked them, "But who do you say I am?" Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Verse 15, again for clarity and understanding. Then he asked them, "But who do you say I am?" This is the 6th of 11 messages in the series titled, "What We Believe and Why." We are preaching our way through the Apostles' Creed, and this morning in the 6th installment, we've titled this message, "Who Do You Say He Is?" Who do you say he is? Labels. You have to be careful with labels. Labels signify on the outside what's on the inside. But sometimes a label can be deceiving. Sometimes labels aren't visible. In the case of our text, labels are verbal. They are verbal in that they are imposed by the public. Labels. They signify externally what is contained internally. Caesarea Philippi. It is no coincidence that Jesus and his disciples in transit are making their way through Caesarea Philippi. It is located 20 miles north of the Sea of Galilee. Caesarea Philippi sits as pagan central. It was once the site of the Baal cultic center. Then in Hellenistic times, it became known as Paneas because the idol god Pan had been worshipped in the famous grotto and the spring there. It was renamed by Herod the Great when he built a temple there for Caesar Augustus. And after Herod's death, it was made a part of his son Philip's territory. Philip enlarged the town, and he renamed it after Tiberius Caesar and himself, Caesarea Philippi. During the war between the years 66 and 70, Caesarea was the reception spot for the Roman general Vespasian and the siege on Jerusalem just 20 miles away. The point that I'm making about Caesarea Philippi is that it is of pagan worship. And it was the epicenter of sorts of all things anti-God. And it was the epicenter of sorts for all things that were anti-God's people. Labels, Caesarea Philippi, the disciples. Shift scenes with me, if you will, to the disciples as the disciples are standing, no doubt maybe eating a snack lunch with Jesus as they pause from their transit. Jesus, with his disciples, began to pose a question to the 12 of them. The question that he poses is, what's the talk about me around the water coolers? What are they saying at the laundromat? What's going on with the chatter about the Christ in the local markets? See, the disciples are familiar with public opinion because they knew that being a Jesus follower did not involve or mean isolating themselves from the world. They knew what it meant to be in the world but not of the world. They were not isolated from others. The question, who do people say that I am? And the answer, quickly the disciples rattle off answers because they were not isolated. They were aware of what people were saying about Jesus. Some say, you are Elijah. Some say, you are Jeremiah. Some say, you're John the Baptist. The bar